People of the Purple Butterfly here, otherwise known as People7 on Twitter and YouTube, people elsewhere on the internet. My blog is located at purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com, and my soaps, Purple Butterfly Soaps, can be located at people.etsy.com, and my t-shirt designs, purplebutterfly-people.tmail.com. And it's the middle of the night and I can't sleep, which means I gotta find something to do until I feel tired enough to go to sleep. But I can't make soap because the stick blender will wake people up. So what's a girl to do? Well, it's a good time to polish my soaps, especially since the Langenbrunner soap is due to be finished curing, and it'll be ready to be presented, so forth so on. So here I have some distilled water, and my soap. This is the Quilting Paris mat. It used to have two sides. It used to be a cutting board on one side and an ironing board on the other. But this surface is perfect for doing this. Otherwise, you have to use paper towels or other various things to, cushion it. And I've done those. I've also used cardboard. But yeah, so that will be my drying surface. Now let me tell you the purpose of dipping soaps. If you look back, almost about 2 years worth of videos, it's in the 800 somewhere. There's a video called Dipping the Mangoes, and that's what I was doing. I was shining the soap. It gets rid of soda ash. It wakes up sleepy micas. So if you had a mica that didn't quite activate, it makes the color pop. It gets rid of your fingerprints. It makes the soap shiny. So it has a variety of uses for one simple application. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to dip the vanilla cake, which has gotten darker, but that'll also keep it from ashing while it continues baking. But I'm going to do that one a little bit different because the surface part of that design is made with cocoa powder, and if I dip it and then pull it out the water, that might make a big old mess. But if I put it in water up to here, this part will be shiny, this part will be shiny, and this part I can spray with alcohol or water in a controlled manner, which won't ruin my finished surface. So let's get this started. The only tricky thing is, how am I going to do this in the living room? I usually do this in the kitchen or in the dining room where I have it set up for that. But video wise, there's something about those two rooms that just sucks the light right out of the room. And it's like when I try to make a video in my room, which is pastel pink, but it makes this dark yellowish grayish sheen and you can't see me. So the first thing I'm gonna do is move the soaps themselves off of the surface. Wait, hold on. Let's put this where I have the rest of it. I have a makeshift work area right over here, so that way I can put the new soaps on it as I get the old soaps and so forth and so on. So I'm just gonna bring it over. So this is it going in, and dip it in the soap, you release it, and then you pull it out, which is not as easy as it sounds because it'll be slippery. And then once that's done, you put it on the surface. But you see how shiny that is now? that's how it will look once I'm done with all of them. I'm going to put this over here to dry. I'm just going to slide it right off into the prepared surface. And this is a lard-based soap, which is already showing signs of trying to lather on that single dip. I forgot, lard has a very quick lather, so as you can tell. But that's fine, because those bubbles will go away and the curing will finish and you won't see any of that. Do you see how shiny that is? That's what the finished soap will look like. The only thing is, when you dip soap, you can't put them 1/4 inch, space to, dry so for so on. At that point, when you're dipping, you want to give it 2 fingers at least, or 3. I usually just put them at least 1 inch apart from each other. You want to make the dip quick, but if you don't make the dip quick, it helps if you have paper towels. One of the things I use, like my quilting press pad, because it will absorb all the extra water. But make sure when you dip, you release. That way, let's explain it this way. If I went like this and just dipped it in, dipped it out, then where my fingers are, that part won't be dipped and it'll be a dull spot there. You want to drop it in, let go, pick it back up, then put it on the new surface. And that's how you take your soaps for a dip. Yeah. But you want to be quick about it. And after the initial drying, or if you actually had the water in there too long, then you're going to turn it to the side, let it dry a couple of hours. Turn it to the next side, let it dry a couple of hours. Flip it so that way every surface you get the drying time it needs. Now I'm going to take this and slide it back under, or slide it under the paper. So that way we can go to the next one. I'm also going to scoot these over just a little bit so it will stay on the paper. I've done this before and explained it before, but I don't think I was very clear on the hows and the whys of it all, other than showing that one soap. So this video will make up for that too. Also, if you knock it over a couple of times and it's not quite responding, it slipped off or whatever, and you got more fingerprints on it, you can always re-dip them. Okay? Now, get my hand under there very, very slowly, very, very carefully, and take it to a resting place. Now, next up is the onion. Let me show you what I'm doing. I have my curled and pressed pad. I have, what do you call this? It's a placemat that's coated with plastic. Then I have several pieces of paper because I'm not going to use paper towels for this. I would need simply far too many of them. Okay, see, that way when I am ready to transfer, I can just literally put it down, slide that out, and it'll be on a hard surface. Okay, so next up is the almond. Now, that brings me to what I was talking about. See that the mica finish on there is actually made with salt. It's a homemade mica, homemade glitter rather. Mica is all natural, salt is all natural. I am trying to get away from non-biological, non-economical glitters, like the things that are made with pieces of plastic. That stuff is in the environment and it's bad. We have a piece of glitter that shows up, that sticks to your skin, that won't wash off. You will finally get rid of it. You look up, here's another piece, because it's a piece of plastic and it just gets embedded in your towels or whatever and shows up later. This, when it dissolves, it's gone. It's all natural. Can't hurt you. So, as you can tell, that activated that shiny on the glitter too. And we go to the next one. This is the before. And this is the after. See how shiny that is? And that is how it will dry. And the almond is the palm oil, canola oil, saffron oil. So I don't have to worry about it sudsing while I'm doing this. But you don't want to leave it in there for a longer period of time just because you can. Because it would kind of defeat the purpose of having a nice, shiny, polished soap. Yeah. So let me turn this around so I can get to the other pieces. Drop, release. Try not to splash when it releases from your hands quicker than you anticipated. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing today. The only thing I'm doing different is I am not going to dip the vanilla cake completely. I'm just going to dip 3 sides of it and then spray the top. And this actually is making me sleepy now, because I think part of it is, hey, that was on my mind and my brain is racing, so what can I do to stop the racing? And hey, I just found something I can do. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, now let me back this up. I think I'm going to move these two over. Well, that's slippery because of my hands, I guess. See, that way, when I take this over, I can literally just slide it onto this new surface. And I don't know if you can see that. So I'll pick up the camera. But none of them fell out of place. This one here tilted like it was going to fall, but they're still in one spot. Alright. let's finish these up. Okay. The paper. I'm using 2 pieces of paper, by the way. It's not a requirement. It's just the way I'm doing it, so that way I can ensure that the soap, if it gets a little watery, is not going to saturate paper and go all the way through and make a hole. Yeah. There we go. Now, I think I'm going to leave this one over here and let it dry there if necessary. Whew. That way I don't have to worry about any oopsies. This is the personal use Langham burner. It has a different scent, aloe and juniper, I do believe. It was basically the overflow from the Langham burner soap. When you're making a soap for a present or a guest or whatever, you don't want to run out. So being short is not an option. I'd rather have too much and then keep the excess as opposed to not enough for the project. This water is getting pretty saturated with soot, so I'm going to be real careful. Well, I'll just go ahead and dip that completely and see what happens. Ah, it didn't mess up, so I can dip those completely, which is what I'm going to do. Okay. Another thing you could do, let me get in position where I can show you. If you dip it without releasing it, then you have to hold your hand like right here, or well, basically up here as high as you can, so that way when you get ready to release it, slide your hand down so that way you bring that water with it. That has worked for me in the past, but it still isn't quite procedure. It works, but it's not quite procedure. So in the back of your brain, you're going, that wasn't done right, that wasn't good enough, so forth and so on. So be mindful that if your OCD is like mine, it will bug you until you do it again the right way. So just go ahead and release it, then pick it back up. And your brain will be much happier for it. Yeah. And once you do it, always try to make sure you have enough room, because once you put it down, if it's in the wrong spot or if it's too close to the edge or whatever, you can't touch it for another 24 hours. So keep that in mind when you put that final placement there. You just want it placed. Now, the last one is the Caress scented soap, otherwise known as White Peach and Silk Blossoms. For some odd reason, I keep wanting to say white tea. There's no tea in this. Excuse me. I have found out that burping isn't the amount of water I'm drinking, it's the cereal that I've been eating. That and an allergic reaction was the key to me finding that out. But it's okay, because, well, I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. Benadryl works well for me. And I just gave the cereal to Mom. She can enjoy it. She's not allergic to it. And I went back to what I was eating. So that worked out well for her. I just simply bought myself a new one. It's taking on quite a few more nuances. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like it's got a gel circle all the way around it, making it like a halo effect. But it's all good. Oh, by the way, all the soaps have been tested. pH is at 8. A couple of them are already at 7. That's very mild. I always try to keep my pH under 9. Soaps that you buy at the grocery store, those are usually the ones where people go, oh, that's too harsh, it makes your skin all dry. Yeah, those are 11. You know. 10 and 11 is a little harsh. If you think about it, the limit scale goes up to 14. 14 is live. It turns the limit strip black. It's the harshest thing on the planet. The softest thing on the planet, or, you know, going to the other side where it's acid, where it turns the limit strip red, you know. So let's think about that. You have 1, which is an acid base. Vinegar is in the acid range, which turns the limit strip red. The strongest, well, acid. And then when you have a base, that's black, and everything in between, pH neutral, is yellow. And if you're yellow or green, light green, pale green, anything green, you're good. If it's blue, that's a little bit stronger, and that's where most of your soaps that are a little bit harsher and drying to skin end up dark blue. So, little chemistry lesson there. I love that method of taking off gloves. Before I learned that, that's called the hospital method, but before I learned that, I used to be the one that would take the gloves off and then take a spoon or something, try to get it off, or get my hands in whatever and then have to immediately wash my hands and so forth, so on. And why protect if you're going to expose yourself to the same thing you're trying to remove? But I think I'll show you that. Hold on. These are my heavy duty nitros. I use this when I'm cleaning up the soap dishes. Whether or not I've neutralized it, these still go on when I go to clean my soap pots. Because neutralizing it with some vinegar might not necessarily, you know, vinegar floats in the water. What if some of it was caked in there and I didn't quite get it out? Now I'm trying to wash with something that's active. Even though I've neutralized the surface, that didn't neutralize inside where everything is, you know. So, if you're going to take off gloves, the hospital method, you don't want to go like this, because then you're putting whatever that was on your thumb under your glove. No. What you want to do is grab it right here, pull that off. It's going to turn it inside out, but you're going to pull it off. It's hard to do with these because these are thick. Now, the next thing you're going to do is take your finger and go inside. Or, you know, well, no, because your hands are exposed. But you take your fingers, go inside, make sure you don't touch anything else. Pull that over, then pull it off. And you get something like this, where everything that could have exposed you to anything is encased inside, and that's what you discard. And your hands stay completely safe. I looked up, because we were actually taught that in first aid and all that, but I looked up the proper way to do it as a refresher when I got a lye burn on this finger. And I washed my hands, I had neutralized and everything, and I'm going, why does my finger keep itching? That one spot, it just feels like it's, And then when my hands started turning red, I went, oh. So then I had to go deeper. Boiled some vinegar, added some ice cubes to the vinegar to cool it down real quick, and had to dip my hand in it and just let it sit there until the burn stopped. Because if that didn't work, that's a hospital trip. You don't want to take a hospital trip over soap. I mean, it's a fun hobby, but as long as you're doing it safely. Anyway, I'm sleepy. This is resting nicely. By the time I wake up in the morning, this will be ready to put back on the curing rack, and nobody be the wiser going, what you doing in there? You left a mess. Yeah. Because before anybody goes in the kitchen, I'm the one going to the kitchen to cook breakfast. So before I cook breakfast, I'll just put that up. Anyway, this has been People at 7 on Twitter and YouTube, People at elsewhere on the internet. My blog is located at purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. My soaps, Purple Butterfly Soaps, can be located at people.etsy.com. And my t-shirt designs, purplebutterfly-people.tmail.com. Y'all stay blessed, stay tuned. Bye now. Good night, good morning, however you call that.